Appreciate it. Okay, good luck, Devin. Your go.
To you. Yep. Good. Dawn. Tap 1 Dawn. I will bring out Bay.
Okay.
And I'll use her effect. I'll take draw 1 card and draw life, and I will pass.
Okay, sounds good. We will flip 2, draw for turn. We are going to just play out brand new for 2.
Okay.
Review top 3, grab a Navy card. We got a Kuzan, an Absalom, and a Helmeppo. Let's grab the Kuzan.
Okay.
And pass.
Roger that. Dawn. Draw. I'll go ahead. I'll use tap 1 Dawn for 3 brothers. 3, 4, 5. I'll go ahead, grab the ace.
Okay.
Go ahead. There. I'll tap.
All right. Go ahead, T-Mac. You good?
Hello, hello.
Sound like a smooth jazz person, I swear.
Hello, I wonder if Stream can hear me now.
Stream, can you hear him? We're going to figure that out in just a second. But till then, we have quite a beautiful matchup right here. Honestly, probably what we're going to be seeing a lot of today. It's going to be the Gecko Moria versus Red Yellow Luffy, which has been definitely quite a buzz of a card, or rather as a leader, especially with a lot of the EB1 support. But we're off to really a good start here. Black Yellow Luffy is seeming to get the Sabo out here. They seem to have already seen their life. They're at 2 life. They're sitting pretty right now.
Yeah, that's what you kind of want to be at right now. That 2 life, then you can just like self-enable yourself. That's pretty much, it's perfect position for Black Yellow Luffy, honestly.
Definitely. Ooh, we ran into a hiccup here. Sorry about that. But yeah, definitely. I think it's one of those decks that, man, see, look, I personally feel like it had a lot of potential. It's very good. Do not get me wrong. But it's just not my cup of tea, man. I think Black Yellow Luffy is good.
Like, I tried the deck myself too, bro. Like, and I found myself, like, what most players see themselves doing is pretty much going like turbo to 0 and then like hoping for the best. But like once you go against like a good Black Yellow Luffy player, oh man, crazy.
Yeah, that
seems like
the biggest thing. It's either like you're super good or you're cooked. There's no alternative, and that's just kind of how the deck runs. Like it is a good deck for sure. It's just not my cup of tea here. But I mean, honestly,
Yeah,
go ahead.
Yeah, I think with Black Yellow Luffy, it's a deck where you have to not only you have to know the metagame because you have to know how to play against different decks. The other thing you have to know as well is how to pilot your own deck to the top level, because like being able to do the combos with the babies and doing the combos with the big stuff so you can stack your life appropriately and stuff, it takes a lot of practice to get good at that.
Oh, absolutely. And I think that's a very big thing to bring up is being able to, because obviously when this deck came out, people were already kind of looking at it prior and trying to figure out what's the best way to go about it, what's the best builds, what's been consistently winning. And you could always, and we've had this conversation time and time again, where it's, you either have, like, you have to actually put in the work for the deck. There's people who always have those like secret sauce recipes and they're like, oh, how did this win? And it's just like, it's consistency. Like, they practice with this a lot. They don't just, the term is net decking, where they just copy a list offline and bring it to locals and they're just like, oh yeah, I'm GG's for everybody. Like, nah, you have to be able to actually understand how the deck works, and that just comes with practice, whether that's via sim, whether that's in-person locals. Like, you have to put in work somewhere. So definitely we're gonna see a lot of that today. If people show up and actually compete, you're gonna see some Black Yellow Luffy in top tables. If not, GG's.
For sure. All right, so we're gonna see here using basically the Absalom to do with shenanigans to get that ace off a board, it looks like there. And then this is just classic and vintage Moria, just like using a bunch of down minus effects and just clearing out big bodies and like profiting off of it. So like, this is going to be what, a 7k swing into Black Yellow, and then going from there.
Absolutely. And I think, because I've seen this matchup quite a bit, honestly, Black Yellow Luffy is favorable in this match only because of cards like Ace. So it definitely was really advantageous of Gecko to try to get rid of that, and trying to keep that presence off the board. Now, the downside with this deck that Gecko which makes Gecko the least favorable, is that Black Yellow Luffy's leader ability can easily just bring that back into life. And if they just happen to have that baby Ace and baby Sabo, then this is when Luffy starts really cooking near the end game. So I think definitely it was a smart move for sure. I'm interested to see what Black Yellow Luffy does here though in follow up though. This is when it starts getting interesting. Another thing with Black Yellow Luffy that I think, well, let me hear your take on this. With cards that have come out, and chat, by all means, if you definitely what's the word I'm looking for? Chat, back me up if you feel the same way. 8-drop Gecko Moria. What is your take on it? Should it be leader locked? Should it be banned? Should it be limited? Which would be the first card to be limited? What is your feeling on that? Especially with new cards that are coming out and things of that nature. Flip. I will definitely do that. Give me just 1 second, chat. Can we get much higher? We haven't even gotten to Sokka Band yet, and y'all already talking about Gecko. Honestly, the Sokka Band, I think, is well needed personally. But the reason why I do argue this, trust me, actually, I'm not against. I'm definitely not against Gecko being banned. At the same time, I think Gecko makes a lot of decks come alive. One of these decks being Black Yellow Luffy, and I say that because without A-Drop Gecko, you don't get the Luffy, Ace, Sabo kids to come back. And without those, honestly, once you get rid of them the first time or bottom deck them, it's just a counting game of, you know, how many do you have? And after a certain point, you just basically would lose kind of thing. So I feel like there's definitely something that staples a lot of decks. It staples Sakazuki. It stapled Black Yellow Luffy. It stapled Perona. It basically anything with the black variant in any way, shape, or form is definitely it is getting work with A-Drop Gecko. And with new sets coming out, the biggest thing is you're going to see a lot of cards, especially for those who pay attention to upcoming cards. The King variant, or the King Leader and the Pudding Leader, not Pudding Leader, I'm sorry, King Leader is getting a lot of good cards also. So it's one of those things where a lot of people are questioning, is the ban going to come? I personally don't think so, because, you know, people wanted the same thing with Big Mom, and we saw where that went. Instead of getting a ban, we got a beautiful 10-drop ace to come up shortly after, which is definitely beautiful. Yeah, Big Mom, I think, will forever be here. And honestly, definitely at first when the Big Mom came out, I think it was I think it was a ban of existence. But truth be told, what definitely made it more balanced was the fact that you pay 10, it's just like you have no active Dawn, you have nothing else to basically help you outside of that. So it's basically like GG's if you can't have any counter in hand. But in most cases, yeah, that card is the bane of my existence. I don't like that card. Truth be told, it is what it is.
I think with ACOS Gecko Moria, I think if you take it out of the metagame, I think it cripples a lot of decks. So decks like Gecko itself, like for example, Black Yellow Luffy, like a lot of these decks would just falter. Like they would not be a thing anymore. And you never want to do that in a game, right? You never want to like completely hammer out like an archetype. So I think it's an evil that is in the game, but it's also a necessary evil to kind of like make the game diverse. So even with Tenko's Big Mom, it's a similar thing. It's like if you take out Tenko's Big Mom, like certain like Katakuri's like has no top end. Oh, just 8-cost Katakuri, like okay, you put one thing to bottom, that you have no boss monster. That's why boss monsters exist, because boss monsters make the end game. That's supposed to be your be and all like end all, right? So I think it's a necessary evil. I don't think it's gonna get banned anytime soon, unless they print something that is like insanely problematic, and like breaks the game fundamentally. But until then, I think both cards are perfectly fine.
I can definitely agree with that. I feel like, yeah, I definitely agree with that. The fact that boss monsters have to exist. Otherwise, it just goes back to like OP02 or OP03 Zoro, where you just have 1-drop, 2-drop galore, and have counter. So it's one of those things where it's, yeah, I definitely agree with you. But some of those cards, man, like 10-drop ace is about to be ignorant in my opinion. 10-drop.
All right, and here we're talking about 10-drop ace and stuff like that. We see some shenanigans going
Yeah.
on the board.
This
Bro, that is a 9K black yellow Luffy leader on the board right now. So he's gonna use the leader effect to stack it up, bro. That thing is huge, bro.
Yeah, that's
What?
with another Garp search is insane. This is this is about to be crazy. Having a 9K leader already to have to swing into is something, another thing that hurts Gecko, because out of everything on his board, if this was just a 5K leader, you can attach to the Bernu, you can attach to the Helmeppo, you know, get some good 5s, 7s in. But now 9K, you have to invest Dawn. There's no alternative, and your opponent can just easily 1K counter, 1K counter, 1K counter. So it's definitely
that's what makes black yellow Luffy just like such a good deck, is that so effortless. Words are hard, bro. Effortlessly, you can go up to like 9K, and now you gotta force. Now you gotta force a bunch of swings, like a Dawn attachment, just to get one swing in, which is kind of crazy.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's definitely one of those things. It's just like, man, you just show up with it, you know. And this is what the deck does. You can't even be mad at it. And honestly,
Sure.
Coming down back onto Gene over here playing Gecko Moria is definitely quite a turn. It's one of those awkward turns that you just gotta, what do I do here, you know?
Yeah. So it's, how I like to look at it is, once any one of these starter deck 13 cards start like doing their setup with the babies and stuff like that, it's basically like taking an extra turn, because like you're not gonna want to commit so many Dawn, right, to be able to like just do a couple of swings, right? You're just gonna let it go through and like let him do his thing, right? And then the follow-up, you're just gonna get splashed on the follow-up.
Definitely. And it's also, it's like a backtrack swinging back into Luffy, only because it's like, even if he does take the life here, he's just gonna get it right back next turn. It's almost like you're playing a no, where it's just like, okay, I have to have enough swings to get lethal. I can't just do 3 swings. Like, yes, I can in the case of like, well, let me backtrack myself. With Luffy's leader ability, I think that is very balanced, of the additional rule of when they take life, if the card is face up, it goes to bottom deck. I love that they added that. Otherwise, this deck would be extremely ignorant.
For sure.
But with that also being said, I mean, he does have Sabo. We don't know what else he has in his hand. If he has a Gecko Moria, this is, because we haven't seen one yet. At least that I've been paying attention. We haven't seen one yet. So if he does drop one, it's, I don't want to say it's GG, but it'd be GG in my eyes.
Yeah, you definitely see the ace on top as well, so it's definitely gonna be bringing back that ace there, and then doing shenanigans. So you see, he uses Rob Lucci to basically get rid of 2 bodies now, and if he doesn't get some damage in here, I think he still has 4 Dawn available, so he needs to get at least 1 chip in, so he's not having to deal with that ace, especially because he's on 0 now. But Sabo putting in work as per usual. So now the board is protected, so he can't KO the board, so he has to at least make 2 swings to get in.
Yep, absolutely. And that's just the, man, it's the beauty about certain cards. Like Sabo from sets ago is putting in work now at tables, and it's definitely a conversation to be had as well of for new players thinking of joining in the games. Is there that paywall and things of that nature? And it's definitely been something up for discussion with a lot of individuals. But I think in cases like this, like, it is it's something to be discussed. I think definitely a lot of new players can come in at any point in time, for sure. But man, do is it hard? That's the best way I could say that.
It's very tough to decide. And that's one of the things I found very difficult with this black-yellow Luffy deck, is when you get to these later turns, just because you got to be using your cards to do things, right? Like to discard, to get effects and stuff like that, right? You get to a point where you basically have nothing in hand, and you got to make some super, like, awkward decisions on what to keep and what not to keep. So, like, for example, here, off the Sabo effect, it's super hard to decide what you want to discard. Expect to see your babies.
Absolutely, and it's definitely another thing for discussion on. I do have to agree with you with, you know, what should you be discarding. And interestingly enough, adding the ace to hand to draw, I think what we might, I believe what he's trying to go for here is to try to get rid of his life. That way he can Luffy leader ability and play again. And I think that's what we're going to see here with the Sabo being played. Sabo to probably overplay Sabo. And that's actually a good strategy, and especially for a follow-up turn if he does get there on having the Gecko play it off. But honestly, yeah, getting man, Black Luffy is just doing the thing. I can't even be mad. And actually, real quick, a valid point is being brought up that the ace should be going to the bottom, if I am correct.
Yes,
So give me just 1 second to correct this.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, you may add the top card from your life to your hand.
Oh, it goes to bottom deck.
Okay, I'll just
Because of Luffy leader effect, his like passive. Yeah. Yes. It goes to bottom. Except for the draw doesn't happen because he didn't add it to hand. Okay, so he should be down a card then.
okay.
How do we resolve that?
Okay.
Shuffle or bottom deck, or it doesn't matter. Just cut it in. I'm okay with that.
So at this point, sorry, I'm going to interrupt here. Yeah. How many cards do you currently have in hand aside from the you drew off the flambe? Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Don't shuffle it into the deck.
Well, he drew off flambe, and then I think he has also now, would have been double saboed. Well, at least one sabo of drawing and trashing.
Okay, so if I may, give me one moment. Let me double check. Yeah. Can you also mute so my voice isn't coming through? Thank you. So if I make sure.
All right, sorry about that, everybody. So what had happened is that the judge had to clarify the rulings and everything in short.
Yeah. So, yeah, you got to make sure these rulings are like clear and crystal, because we don't want to have any situations here where someone lost due to a misruling or something like that, right?
Yeah.
So that's why the judge is just explaining it and is in the table right now, so both players can understand, right?
Yeah, so with the ruling essentially fell down onto that because of the double Sabo being played, what's going to happen is that the player had to shuffle both cards into deck and draw one, and then resume gameplay. And that was the best way to go about it, specifically because, I mean, double Sabo cycles quite a bit, and to try to go through all of those cards is quite a bit, honestly. But They do get a time extension, obviously, because of improper game state. We're not going to be evil about it. And obviously, they will resume gameplay after such. So, yeah, that was a lot. That was a lot. But, I mean, you know, you got to have hiccups early in the game, especially with, what's the word I'm looking for? Especially with this being one of the tournaments after EB1's release. You're going to have situations like this, especially with Flambe being, you know, being such a new card and having interesting interactions. All right, now we're going to get the finish with Sabo effect. Trashing those two. Yep. So what's about to happen now is they have a 5-minute extension in normal time of round, and then afterwards they will get their normal time extension. Yeah, honestly, that was a lot. That was a lot going on right now. But definitely, I think even with all of that being done, I think Gecko's really just in such a good position where it's, you know, your leader 7K, 1 card in hand, you have 5 swings. It's kind of one of those things, 5 swings onto 2 blocks and 1 life. Honestly, just gotta connect 1. Really, it wouldn't really, I wouldn't say wouldn't have made a difference, but definitely rules have to be respected. The order and precedence of how things are need to be done correctly. So definitely it was a learning opportunity for the black yellow Luffy competitor. He did not know that ruling was the way that it was. So truth be told, it is not his fault. You know, sometimes people bring new decks to, you know, it is what it is. But as we see the 7K swing with Lucci, he went ahead and took, and yeah, it's just 7K galore. Honestly, it wouldn't have made much of a difference. It is GG's. So definitely kudos to both players. The hiccup definitely was something that we weren't expecting. But with everything being said, you know, GG's to both competitors. And, you know, honestly, that was quite a bit of a match. Definitely one that we might be seeing a lot of today. Especially with Black Yellow Luffy having such a new popular, basically cards to bring it up. Definitely, definitely we will be back for sure. Definitely, yeah, definitely. We'll be right back shortly with round 2 coming up for sure. Sorry, I'm kind of losing my voice here. But definitely stay tuned, grab some drinks. We have our hiccups in the beginning, but, you know, learning, everything is all good. We'll definitely be back shortly. So by all means, stay tuned, and we'll get ready for round 2. That was round 1 of Black Gecko Moria versus Red Yellow. Oh, sorry, not Red Yellow. Black Yellow Luffy. Gene came on top of that, and definitely was a good match from both competitors for sure.